you think of the wings?
Oh, they're good. Jethro's is always solid.
Yeah, they do a buy one get one on Tuesdays, but it's buy 10, so you end up with 20 wings, which is it doesn't seem like a lot until it comes out.
Oh yeah,
especially for one person.
20 wings anymore. I used to be able to do 20 wings no problem, but not so much anymore. I'm about 10 wings and I'm good anymore.
Yeah, but the good thing is, you can always bring it home, which is what I did today.
Now, are you a flats guy or drummy guy?
I prefer flats, but I'm okay with either one.
Flats is where it is at.
Yeah, but I'll do both. You sure you don't want ghost sauce?
Mm-mm.
Ooh. Actually,
no way.
I lied to you. One's ghost sauce. One is habanero raspberry, but I poured ghost sauce in there.
Nice.
Because the raspberry one's a little
too sweet.
A little too sweet. So yeah. I just wanted to balance it out with.
I could do habanero raspberry, but the ghost one, no, I don't. That would not be up my alley. Yeah. I'm more of a honey barbecue or like a garlic or just straight buffalo, like original buffalo.
I am not a big buffalo fan.
No?
I don't know. I think it's the vinegar for me.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is there's like a fine balance with wings in terms of how much sauce is on there. Like I don't want them smothered, but I at least want to taste the sauce that you have on there. Because there's times where like you said with the buffalo, it comes out and stinging your nostrils and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a bit intense.
That's why I always like my sauce on the side. So I got so these wings are the barbecue rub. Mm-hmm. And then I asked for the sauce on the side. I was surprised the barbecue rub by itself ain't too bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's solid.
Yeah, it's got flavor. And then
I gotta have the ranch. That's my thing.
Oh, ranch.
Ranch. Give me as much ranch as you can.
See, I actually left the ranch because I was like, I don't eat that much ranch.
But... Oh yeah, they'll come out and I'll say bring like twice as much as that.
All right, that was Butters that just texted me. I mean, we could still get started without him, and he could catch up, or we just wait till he gets here.
I don't know. Either way.
Because I don't know how good it sounds with us munching away. But
probably not.
Yeah, we'll be right back, guys. We can always just cut away. What do you think about that chili teriyaki? Or not chili teriyaki. Thai chili sauce.
Oh, is this the hypey one?
This is the Asian store one.
Oh, okay. No, solid.
Yeah, the original, I think, like, Maploy brand.
Yeah.
It was before, like, it really got popular in Western restaurants and Western stores. Mm-hmm. Because, like, we've been eating this stuff since I was a little kid, and I don't know, maybe it was like 10 years ago, then it started popping up everywhere.
Now, see, I wouldn't want the wings covered in that because it'd be too much.
Right.
But it's good to dip. I like my egg rolls with like that.
Yeah, I'm more of a dipper when it comes to the wings, I guess. Oh, there's the man, the myth, the legend.
How are you doing, sir? Nice to meet you finally.
Butters.
How's it going? Let me sneak around here.
Well, we got some wings from Jethro's.
I see that. They look pretty good.
If you're hungry. Raspberry habanero with ghost pepper sauce, straight ghost pepper sauce, and Thai chili sauce.
Sounds like a trip to the toilet is what it sounds like.
Well, this one's pretty sweet, though.
The Thai chili's all right.
Yeah.
You don't have the fire sauce out, though.
No. I don't. I got the pineapple one. Made a pineapple sauce for fish wraps. I don't know how they would be with chicken. Probably fine.
That's a
little sniffly, huh?
It's a little fuego. I think I'm gonna take my stocking cap off if I keep eating that.
I think you turned a little red there.
a little flushed.
Yeah. This one's not as.
I love heat. I love heat though.
This is like the man. I can't never remember
habanero
raspberry. Yeah, habanero raspberry.
I snagged a beer, by the way.
No, that's cool.
Okay.
That was probably the beer you bought anyways. Well, before we get too far, I guess I should do an intro. Hold on, let me not be a savage and talk with my mouth full.
Is this the first time that you've been chowing on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think I recall seeing an episode where you're chowing on wings or anything.
I think actually one episode we were eating dim sum with Ryan and Spencer. But that was more low key on the side. This is just This is kind of like front and center.
It goes good with the beer though.
It does. Wings and beer, man.
Yeah.
Beer, wings, fish, fanatics. But anyways, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another podcast. If you are new here, my name is Kit, and this is the Bear Fish Fanatics podcast. Normally, my co-host would be Grandy, but he is taking a sabbatical. But with me, I have Butters to my right and Derek to my left. Both of these guys have been on the show a few times, and if you guys want to do a quick little intro for those new people.
Yeah, so my name is Derek Wilkins, and owner-operator of 515 Fishing. The page, 515 Fishing Guides, anything that's 515 Fishing affiliated, that would be something that I'm own and operate and manage.
Butters.
I'm Jeremy Butters. Got a YouTube channel I just started up called Central Iowa Angler, and I just love fishing and beer. Beer's good too.
Beer and fishing are like two things that bring people together. I guess chicken wings too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I think any kind of good food.
I think of wings as being an American style dish too. Like when you talk about American food, what don't you think wings falls in that category?
I guess you could, but Asian people love wings also.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the same style and everything?
Yeah, we typically don't put the sauce on our wings. We'll season the wings, and then maybe we'll dip it. That's why when you see me eating, I'll dip versus getting my wings ordered with sauce on them.
Yeah, I guess I should specify buffalo wings. I guess is
Buffalo
what
wings.
I think of as like an American type food.
Yeah, I mean, are these buffalo though? They're not buffalo flavor.
They're smoked wings, aren't they?
Yeah, smoked
wings. Yeah.
I mean, I think wings in general are just an everybody food.
Yeah.
I think everybody likes chicken
who doesn't
wings.
love wings?
Right?
Probably vegans or...
But you guys aren't boneless wing fans, are you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Those aren't wings.
You
They're
can't
chicken
put
nuggets.
wings and boneless in the same sentence.
They're not wings.
For me.
They're chicken nuggets.
Yeah,
they are chicken nuggets.
popcorn chicken.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is, which is fine.
Yeah.
I like popcorn chicken too, but they're not wings. Don't say I'm going to go out to a place and get wings and then get boneless.
Yeah.
It's not. They're two different things.
I'm gonna go get chicken tenders.
Yeah.
All right, before we get too far ahead, let's what's everybody drinking? I guess I'll start. I got a Breckenridge Brewery from Colorado. Is that right?
I've been there.
To the brewery?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a vanilla porter.
Grandy would probably like that.
He is a porter guy. I'm not huge on porters, but
And it's Colorado.
Right?
He's got family there, right?
It takes 2 boxes for Grandy.
In memory.
In memory. Cheers to Grandy.
To you, Grandy.
Yeah. But like I was saying, I'm not super huge into porters and stuff, but this is fine. I don't know.
It's a little bit lighter, isn't it?
Yeah, it is lighter. It's not, I don't know. Taste-wise, porters can get kind of heavy. Alcohol content, they're not super crazy. Cause that's not why I typically don't favor them. It's just flavor-wise. They can get kind of heavy, says the guy that likes IPAs.
I like porters because they're a little bit smoother if you get a good one. Which is part of why I'm not an IPA fan. Is I don't like that.
There's a bite to it.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
like I don't want to say fizziness, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. Is that bubbly whateverness to it. I've got a New Glarus Moon Man. It is a No Coast Pale Ale, solid little drink. New Glarus is that brewery out there, famous for spotted cow. Last time I was in Wisconsin, I was out there and got a bunch of different stuff from them.
I'm drinking beer from Toppling Goliath Brewing Company. It's been on the podcast before, Pseudo Sue.
Like the last 2 podcasts,
Yeah.
I feel like, right?
Yeah. Staple.
It is a staple.
It's pretty good.
I mean, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. It's one of my favorite beers.
Brewed in beautiful Decorah, Iowa, which it is beautiful there.
So you were talking about Wisconsin? Was that recent?
No, not this season. That probably would have been 2 years ago now.
Don't tell me you've had that beer for 2 years.
Probably. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Aged okay.
Right.
I know the purist would say that's a no-go. But it is in a dark bottle, which is key.
Right.
It's been out of the sunlight, which is key. So, I mean, I've done a couple things to keep it in better shape.
Right.
So.
Well, if that beer's 2 years old and this beer's 2 years old, it tastes fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, mine tastes all right.
Yeah. I suppose we should get into the meat and potatoes of the podcast, and that's fishing. We already got the beer out of the way. I know I haven't spoken to you since before the lakes froze. Have you been out, and how's ice fishing been going for you?
Yeah, I've been out a ton. It's been a fantastic season. I'd say I've been really spoiled just in general the last few years in terms of fishing and quality. And I do make a point to travel a good amount, especially during the ice season. I've been up to the Detroit Lakes area of Minnesota, fished Lake of the Woods already this season. Did some pond hopping, done some lakes locally. Just the biggest I think perk so far is I got some real nice crappie. We've got a couple crappie over 14.5 that were studs. Got a couple gillies over 10 and got my PB perch up at Lake of the Woods, which was 13.5. So I've been chasing a big perch for a long time, and Lake of the Woods really wasn't the place I was expecting to catch big perch. But we got into them on the second day fishing there. We got, I think, 4 12-inchers and then that one 13.5. So, yeah, it's been a fantastic ice fishing season so far.
Dang. I don't know if I could say I caught any PBs yet this winter. I know Butters has.
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah, a couple. I know there's one with stripes.
I caught a nice perch.
A perch? Like a PB perch?
13.
13?
In Iowa, yeah.
That ain't bad.
Yeah.
For Iowa, it's real nice.
Yeah. It was crazy. He hit a Tika minnow.
Did he?
Just crushed it. I thought it was a big walleye. I was like, whoa. But...
Can't adjust his mic.
Making my life easier when I go to edit this.
Yeah, I think that's it, though. Well, no, I caught a PB wiper, too.
Yeah, fish with stripes.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
Yeah. We didn't measure it, but I mean, it was a big fish.
No, I don't measure fish. I know you like to measure fish, and I always give you a hard time. Like, come on, let's get it back. Come on.
Yeah.
That's me. That's me too, though. Like if I think it's a master angler or a PB or somewhere in that range, I usually want to throw it on tape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just I don't know. I don't really have a good reason there or a reason to advocate for that.
It's curiosity. Because somebody's going to ask you if you post a picture, how big was that fish?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
And I would say a couple of the crappies I've caught this winter, I probably could have lied and said they were 16 plus and got away with it. But I don't know. I just feel better about it, I suppose. It's not, it is what it is. I don't know.
I guess I got the video aspect because, when you're not filming yourself, if you don't take a picture, it's kind of hard to put that memory in like some kind of physical form other than, oh, yeah, this one time I caught this. I don't know, maybe over time that number gets bigger and bigger. Like it starts from 14 to 15 to 16 maybe. I don't know.
But I think for me, it just gives me that real number to compare it to the previous fish that I've caught and say, this fish looks freakishly big. Is it bigger than that, one that I caught X amount of years ago or whatever? And then putting it on tape or putting it on scale kind of validates whether it is or isn't. So
yeah, that's true. It does confirm. Like a lot of people sit there and look at a fish. Oh, that's at least a 16-inch fish, but then never put a tape to it. They'll never know, but they believe it's a 16-inch fish or it's a 30-pound catfish.
So that would be one of my pet peeves. Is if you're not gonna measure it and not put it on a scale, then don't attach a number to it, I guess. That's to me because, so let's say you do go out and catch, a big crappie or whatever, and then you say, This is my PB. It's 17 and a half inches. Like, how did you come to that conclusion? Well, I took 3 bush light cans.
It's a big crappie.
So I guess that's my thing is just say, hey, this is the biggest crappie I've ever caught. It's a monster. Okay, that's fair. You can respect that, but don't tie specific measurements to it unless you're going to go through that process.
Yeah. At least don't exaggerate if you do.
Right. Because if you are going to say it's 17 and a half, somebody might ask you, do you have it on a bump board?
Right.
If it doesn't look 17 and a half.
Well, I caught it. I know what I caught.
Yeah.
That's always the argument, right?
Oh, yeah. Which, that's part of the fishing drama,
I mean, I guess I'm guilty of, I'll put a number out there, but I try to be reasonable with that number. Like, this is probably a 10-inch crappie. No one's going to question my 10-inch crappie.
No, but there's certain limits for each fish where you're like, okay, hold up. If I told you last weekend I caught a 12-inch gill, you would probably want to see that fish and say, is that really a 12-inch gill? It's a monster,
They don't come around often.
Right.
Yeah,
So.
that's why Grandy, for the longest time, I was giving him so much shit for his 30-plus pound blue cat.
Yeah.
He didn't take any pictures because at the time he wasn't recording videos or anything. He's just like, man, it's like this big and blah blah blah. I was like, well, you don't know. There's no proof,
picture.
no
proof.
pictures, no video.
Yeah.
And it'd be hard to weigh a fish in a kayak, but
Yeah. And at the end of the day,
first.
that's just all feeding your ego and your own goals.
Part of it is also me giving Grandy a bunch of shit. 'Cause, if you guys been listening to the podcast for a long time, I always give him shit. So miss you, Gourds.
And there's ways that you can be prepared. Like you can have your bump board out and ready, like when you're ice fishing. You can have it ready when you're on shore too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still want to be sensible,
Right.
I mean, kind of like you're talking about getting them back in the water. Like if it is that nice a fish, you want to try and take care of it. So whether that means holding it down in the hole,
yep.
Or if you're open water, keep it in the net, so that Butters isn't running half a mile to go get the tape, and then the fins are frozen, and you're like trying to let it go.
Right.
So you can still take the right measurements to do that. You just want to be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. But me, I'm just lazy. I don't want to dig that stuff out. I just want to, like I said, I got the video thing. I just showed on the camera, talk about it a little bit, then let it go. Because I don't want to be fiddling around with bump boards and tapes. Yeah. But that's just me, to each their own.
Yeah.
Because like Butter says, if you're prepared for it, just bring a bump board, have it ready, which... Mm-hmm. We did one of the outings we had, and I caught a big ass catfish, and we didn't bump it, and I just let it go.
We bumped that other one though.
Which one? What fish?
It was like 20, 25, 26.
But not as big. Not
the biggest
crazy
one. Not the biggest one.
Well, I shouldn't say crazy big, but pretty big through the ice in Iowa.
It was
25 wiper, 25-inch wiper.
Catfish.
Oh, catfish. Yeah.
It was 12, 13-ish. Maybe
pounds?
Yeah.
I don't know. I said maybe.
It was
10
plus.
I said maybe 10.
It was fat.
I don't want to. I don't want to just talk about throwing out numbers and then not.
He's going there.
And then not, putting it on a scale.
It was above 10 pounds. I'll say that.
I'll say 10-ish.
10-ish.
The thing I've noticed with channel cats is they get fatter before they get longer. It is not like super super tough to catch a 10-pound channel, but to catch a 30-inch channel. That is a heck of a fish,
right.
And we've caught a lot of channels the last 5 years, and I can count on one hand probably the number of 30s that we've come across. I mean, so many of those big fat ones are 28, 27 and a half, 28, 28. It's just really hard to get that 30-incher.
Yeah, especially in Iowa. I remember for the longest time, that was the monkey on my back. I want to catch a 30-incher. I want to catch a 30-incher. It'd be like 25. 26.
The guy 27. That doesn't care about measurements.
Right.
Hypocritical.
But
little hypocritical there.
The master angler aspect is what
Sure.
What was really getting to me. But once I caught one, I was like, okay, cool, I caught one.
Yeah. And I think for as many channel cats as there are in Iowa, and maybe that's why it's a harder master angler to get because of the volume of them. Mm. But I do think channel cat is one of the tougher ones to hit.
Bo hit one last year.
Yeah, Bo hit like
through the ice.
30.
Through the ice?
Yeah.
Wow.
Through the ice.
A stud. Walleye's tough too. 26. It's a tough fish to hit.
I've hit 2 over.
Yeah.
Through the ice.
Both through the ice?
Yeah. And I've caught 2 over in open water.
Nice.
See, 26 is my limit. I'll readily measure a fish if I know it's gonna be the biggest one that I caught. That's why that 30-inch was like for the longest thing, or for the longest time. It's like, okay, that's the benchmark. It'll be my biggest one I ever caught. Took me forever to hit it, and then same thing with the walleyes. I think my biggest is 26.
That's where I'm at. 26. I caught a 26. I've got one 26 in Iowa and multiple 26s in Minnesota, Canada, etc., stuff like that. But can't break that 26.
I'm just lucky.
I mean,
that's all it is.
Right time and place.
Yeah.
You can increase your chances obviously with time of day that you're fishing and then time of the year and stuff like that, pre-spawn, all that good stuff. But
and if you're out there for 14, 15 hours a day fishing, I mean, you're liable to run across something,
That helps.
But
yeah, no.
Butters is a fishing machine, man. This guy fishes, I swear, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Like me, I'll go Saturday, Sunday, and then 3 days into the week, he's like, "Yeah, I've gone on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday too."
He gave you the bite report.
You're right.
I went yesterday.
Yeah.
Went to Smaller Lake. It was all right, huh?
You saw you caught a bass, right?
A few bass, crappie, some bluegill.
So with getting out that much, do you stay in the same areas quite a bit, or do you bounce around all over the place?
I've been to over 12 lakes in Iowa this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're moving around a good amount.
Yeah, I don't stick to the same place.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, with working in certain areas, I hit certain bodies of water more than what I normally would. Even though I don't like going to the certain body of water, but
right.
If you're there, it saves on gas, and I like challenges, so
Yeah, you travel for work, so you're kind of spread out all over central Iowa, pretty much.
Right. Yep.
So on those 12 lakes, are you counting the 5 that we had to stop by before we settled on a place to camp at?
No, I'm not. Those aren't. And so I've probably been to more than that.
So
actually.
like 17,
yeah,
maybe.
So somewhere in there.
Well, I guess a couple of those we've been to before, but
right. I've been to more lakes this year that I've never been to, and I think it's fun to explore new water, and it's challenging, and sometimes you'll sit there for 3-4 hours and not catch a fish, and then all of a sudden you get like a 20-30 minute span, and it'll change the day. It can make the trip, and yeah.
We'll get back to that, but
ice camping,
yeah,
that's a whole other thing.
So Butters and I went camping over the weekend. Have you ever ice camped, Derek?
Nope, I have zero interest. Well, okay, the closest I've done is I've been.
Well, this isn't going to help if.
I've been in an ice castle and I've been in a sleeper shack. I mean, that is like luxury ice camping.
Yeah,
right?
it's like camping in an RV, pretty much.
Yeah. So I've done that, and I have no desire to take it one step lower and throw a hub and all the crap that goes with it. And nope. I mean, I've done enough night bites, and nothing against the guys that swear by night bites and this and that, but I've fished enough overnights that I don't feel like it is worth the effort to do that.
But he fished.
My opinion.
He caught a 29 at 11 o'clock, 12. 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, 29.
Was it 29?
Yeah, I fished with him Monday.
Cat?
Oh.
No.
Walleye? Nice.
He was out there by himself. I'm like, you lucky.
And that's the gamble, right? Like,
but
you're out there, nobody else is, no pressure. And
I've gone at least 8 times this year, and I think 2 nights I've caught fish at night, and it's not worth the time. I'd rather just eat dinner and do something else.
You want to hear my unpopular opinion on ice camping?
Let's hear it. It might be more popular than you think.
Well, my thoughts on ice camping is that it is a fad driven by YouTubers. And I don't mean any offense to YouTubers or anything like that, but I would say... you need me to pause?
You keep going.
Okay. I would say 2-3 years ago, or what have you, that's when I felt like the first ice camping videos started to maybe pop up a little bit with YouTube, and it seemed like once one person did it, then another person did it, then another person did it, and then everybody was trying to kind of like not up each other, but what more can they do to make their experience ice camping more cool, and it just became something everybody did. And that's not to say that ice camping isn't fun or not fruitful or anything like that, because I know like Trevor was up at Leech Lake and they caught a bunch of burbot overnight, so I know it can be good. But I just feel like I didn't ever hear anything about ice camping prior to that.
Yeah, I can't disagree that YouTube has definitely made it super popular. I guess I'm someone that makes YouTube videos and I've done 3 ice camping videos, but I'm not like a super big time YouTuber. Aaron,
where did your inspiration come from to ice camp?
Actually, I mean, I enjoy camping, and I've thrown around the idea. I didn't like watch a video like, oh, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that for a while. Ever since I started ice fishing, I kind of just thought, it'd be kind of cool to just camp out on the ice. And I'm not gonna do it any favors, but this last outing, man, I think I'm gonna hang it up.
Is there? I feel like there's a story that hasn't come out.
Yeah,
I mean,
the story hasn't come out yet, but after doing it for a couple years,
because my basis is real simple as far as just the time commitment to bringing all the stuff out.
Yeah.
And once you commit, this is me speaking. Once you commit to a spot,
you're there.
I know that I would not have the motivation to pick up all that stuff up and move.
Yeah.
Which is one of the big reasons why I don't bust out the hub that often in general. I mean, I usually bust out my hub for the kids when we want to set up a little base camp or whatever. Yeah. But for me, I don't want to set up a hub, take it back down. And I just know the way I fish, I get anxious, like if stuff's not happening. So I'm like, I got to go check some stuff out. And so it's like my hub's set up and then I'm half a mile away over here. It's like, so that would be my struggle, is just the setup.
Yeah, it is a lot of setup, and man, after the years that I've done, I mean, I've only done it 4 times, and after the first or second time, I already knew, like, it's not really about catching a bunch of fish. And then at the time, I believe, everyone should at least try it once to see if they like it or not. But man, this last time, I mean, I've known, or I've always said it too, that night fishing, at least here in Iowa, is kind of overrated, because in my experience through these last few camping trips, nothing happens at night. Like, you're just kind of just sitting there for hours on end. A few fish move by. Maybe you'll cook dinner, drink a beer. Your buddy that's out there camping with you might stop by. And other than that, it's pretty uneventful at night, at least at the lakes that I've tried, and at the times that I've done this ice camping thing. And another thing is that here in our area, we're not driving out on the lakes. We're not throwing a whole bunch of stuff in the back of our trucks and just driving out to the lake.
Right.
Popping up our shelter.
Right, because that makes a big difference too. Right, like if your truck is right next to where your campsite is, I mean, it makes it a lot more tempting to change campsites if you needed to.
Yeah.
Did that in Minnesota.
Yeah.
We were able to drive out on the ice, camped out in my hub. Didn't have to haul the stuff like more than 3 feet. Popped holes set up. It was easy. You haul out 2 sleds worth of stuff and set up, and it's a nightmare, man. Especially if there's snow.
I mean, Butters can speak to this too, but just night fishing in general, I feel like for me, it's always been trophy chasing, right? Like if I go out and fish, till midnight or 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever, or I go out at 9, 10 p.m. when there's no people, it's not, it's really never been a numbers game in my experience, is trying to get that one.
Just that one bite.
Big fish.
That one bite.
But to your point, I mean, there's tons of nights you go out and there's nothing.
Yeah, nothing happens. The sun goes down, fish stop biting, and I was trying to reason with myself. Okay, since we're going to be camping, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, fish aren't biting, whatever. Okay, maybe 10 o'clock, right?
That 9 to 10 window.
Yeah, like 10 o'clock or maybe midnight. This last time, nothing. 10 o'clock. It's same as the 6 or 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I caught one crappie night fishing, and it was 3 feet under the ice.
Yeah, the funny thing is, during the night, a lot of the fish that I caught, they were probably 3-4 feet underneath the ice.
Did you guys throw any lights underneath the ice?
No.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No.
I think just the
Probably
light.
could have caught more fish if we did. I mean,
You haven't tried that yet, have you?
I have.
Have you?
Yeah, and it
doesn't
Didn't do
work.
anything.
it didn't work. The thing with the lights is everything has to come together
Mm-hmm.
because you got to get the whole food chain going.
Right.
Because if that doesn't happen, then you're either gonna scare off all the fish, or like I said, you could get the food chain going. Once you get
All the
plankton,
bugs.
yep, the bugs, the plankton, and then the bait fish come in, and then after that,
All the fish.
game fish come in. I've had that once out of all the times that I've taken the my underwater light down. I got an underwater green light. I mean, I haven't taken out a ton, but there was only one time where everything came together. It's like there was a bunch of bugs. Then we saw bluegills. Some of the bluegills were swimming straight up to the light like this. Like they would just swim straight up to it and just stare right at it. I'm like, what is this fish doing? But then you start seeing minnows.
Like they do with your lure when they don't want to bite. They're like,
Yeah, and then you'll start seeing minnows.
Bump it.
Right. Yeah, you'll see minnows start swimming around, and then on the outside you'll see bigger shadows. You can't really tell what they are. They're swimming in the opposite direction. And for that one night, it worked out so good. But there's also a downer for this story. Park rangers came out, told us that the park closes when the sun goes down. They were amazed by it. They never seen anything like it either. Yeah, they were talking to us for like half an hour, and then like, all right, well, sorry to do this, but we gotta kick you out of here.
oh man,
I was like, oh man, like I thought we were cool.
the bite is fire. How you gonna do me like that? That's messed
But
up.
they're just doing their
Oh
jobs.
yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
every other time I've taken out the light, it just sits there, it's glowing beacon. Nothing really happens. Might get some bugs that come in. I don't know. Maybe I haven't given it a fair shake, but
Every overnight I've done ice fishing. We caught one walleye at 3 a.m. at Lake of the Woods in one of our overnights, and that was with like 5 dead sticks set up over each night with minnows and live bait and stuff. From sundown all the way till the next morning, 3 nights, 1 fish. So it's just like, you know.
a lot of times I'll bring minnows when I camp. I'll put that minnow down, like once it gets dark. Whole night goes through. I wake up, reel it up, minnow's still there kicking. And it's not just one time. Granted, I had a jaw jacker down last time we went, and it went off. But disaster struck after that happened. That's when I realized something with my heating system was not working. Because looked over my heater, it wasn't running. Like, okay, maybe I blew it out because I woke up in a hurry. With my sleeping bag, maybe I blew out the pilot light and it just cut everything off. And I'm sitting there for an hour, click, 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 twisting knobs, like my propane, unhooking the hose.
What time is
putting
this?
back on. Like 12:30. 12:30.
And I got woken up to a bell on my whisker stick going off, and I set the hook. And I'm like, oh, wait. Oh, I got a fish, right? Reel, spit it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I go out, and I had to pee. So I went outside, and I hear Kit click, 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 because he was like 15 yards away from me. And I was like, hey, what's up, man? Your heater go out? He's like, yeah. So we swap. I was like, let's swap heaters, because I have a 20-pound propane tank. He's got a 5. I'm thinking maybe it's his heater. Maybe the line just needs, maybe I can get more pressure to push through it. It'll clean. And we were able to get both of them to run again.
Yeah, his heater and the hose worked on my propane tank. And then my heater and my hose worked on his 20-pound. At least for a little while.
For a little while. Mine cut out at 3:30. And I've got a sleeping bag rated for 10 degrees. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to put my other hoodie on, cowboy up. I got a couple more hours, go back to sleep, wake up, start walleye and catfishing. And
Those components alone are one of the reasons why I still like open water fishing more than ice fishing. Not once when I'm talking about getting ready to go ice fishing, regardless for how long, or open water fishing, regardless for how long, do I ever have to mention a 20-pound propane tank? I'm bringing out a 20-pound propane tank. Like that thought alone is frustrating to me. Like just thinking about lifting that thing. Oh, I'll throw that in sled, drag that bag boy along. No, thank you.
Yeah,
But
so
it saves on money though.
so
That's true. Stay warm, comfortable, right?
Yeah, I got a 5-pounder. So after we swapped heaters, so it to my knowledge it was working. You know, his heater kicked on with my tank and stuff. So okay, I fished for a little bit and actually didn't catch anything. No surprise. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll try to go to sleep. Heater's still going, and my stomach is like rumbling. Like, oh man, dude, I'm gonna have to go. So I got a toilet lid for a 5-gallon bucket. It got used, luckily while the heater was on, because after that I
throw a bag in there.
Biodegradable poop bags,
Okay.
8 gallons. I got some if you want some.
Good to know.
Anyways, so I laid down, go to sleep. Well, I fell asleep, and then I just hear the heater like sputtering, like. And I get up, like, oh no. Like, am I out of propane? Lift up the propane tank, and it's still pretty heavy. It's like 10 pounds. Propane weighs about a pound per gallon. So, or is it? Is it gallon? Pound. 5 gallon. No, wait. No.
Is this when you switched over to using the 20-pound?
I still had the 5-pound on.
And it weighed 10 pounds?
So a full
Per
5-pound tank.
per pound.
Yeah, a full 5-pound tank will probably weigh about 10 pounds. It's like 1 to 1.
Okay.
So if you got a 5-pound tank with
2 to 1?
2 to 1, yes. 2 to 1. Math's hard. But anyways, it was like it's barely.
So it's basically full.
Yeah, it's basically full.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, what's going on? So I started doing the click, click, click. Same thing. Pilot light would kick on, but it would blow out. Kick on, and then as soon as I turn on the heat, kick out. Basically, what it was doing earlier, and now it was happening the same thing with Butter's heater. I was like, man. So I just bundled up. Put on all my extra clothes, like the neck thing, my beanie, all my extra clothes. And I tightened down my sleeping bag. Yeah, I was waking up every half hour, because I was getting cold. And then finally at 4:45, I was like, okay, I might as well get up and fish. Get the pre-sunlight morning bite. And guess what? It sucked. So I told myself, you know what? I'm going to slowly pack up. So I slowly packed up my things, got my stuff out to the truck. And it wasn't until after the sun came up, 7:30, when I really started catching fish again. And at that moment, I was like, I could have just woken up at 4 o'clock, saved myself all this headache, and got here at the same time and started catching fish at 7:30. And we had a really good window from, I don't know, 8 to 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah, it was a really good half hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
How far of a drive were you talking?
Oh, I haven't even talked about the drive.
I mean,
that's the perk, is you saved yourself the drive.
So we drove an hour and a half to the first lake, then we drove 40,
Yeah,
about 35,
almost an hour to the second lake.
To the second lake.
Is this still within the state?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We did 5.5 hours of driving.
In one direction or in
a circle?
No, so we
In a
ended up,
circle.
after leaving the last lake the next day, we ended up doing a complete circle around one quadrant of the state. So,
Okay.
yeah, it was an eventful day. I got my car stuck at one of the launches. Kit had to get behind me and nudge my car up the launch.
Yeah, with my truck, I had to nudge his car. This trip was a disaster.
Like, everything went bad until 8 o'clock that morning on Sunday.
The next morning, 8 o'clock, that's when things finally clicked.
And it just turned over and flipped for the rest of the day.
This is last weekend?
This
past weekend.
Yeah.
And those fish that we caught were awesome, but I don't think it justified the trip. Like I said, we could have just woken up at 5 o'clock in the morning, driven out there, and got there at the same time when the fish
we
started
honestly didn't fish much Saturday because we spent half the day driving.
Yeah.
You know?
Because, the first lake we went to, we were driving, and I'm noticing all these farm ponds. They're wide open. And then when we got to the lake, like, okay, it's locked up. There's maybe a couple pockets of open water. Get down there. We had to step over to get on the ice. I had my spud bar because, of course, I ain't just going to blindly go out there knowing that ice conditions have
And
been...
our picks. We had our picks, too.
Yeah, ice conditions have been kind of stupid in Iowa because we had a bunch of warm weather, rain last week.
I told my buddy that this is, in terms of variability, this is the most variable I can remember.
Up and down.
Yeah, like this lake over here will be totally fine, and then this lake north of it, which should have more ice, has less ice.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and like these edges are bad, these edges are great, and it doesn't make common sense. You know, I don't remember too many years previously where there wasn't like just that obvious, okay, anything south of us was less ice, you know, and anything north of you was more ice. Whereas this year it has not necessarily felt like that's necessarily the case.
No, you've had to be precautious. I'd say 3/4 of the year, unless you went to a certain body of water that, you know, the bigger bodies, they maintain better than the smaller lakes do.
Yeah, they just take a little while longer to get going. But anyways, I was checking the ice at this lake, so it was like three pokes. Then they got water. Okay, 3 inches. That's not the most confidence boosting.
Not ideal for camping.
No. Like fishing wise, maybe. But I just kept poking out further and further. Okay, 3 pokes, water. 3 pokes, water. And then there was like 2 pokes, water. Like, like, okay, Butters, where you gonna go? Like he went up to grab his auger because
the nut on yours fell off.
Yeah, my bolt that holds my
truck.
The auger to my the adapter on the light flight or whatever popped out luckily in the bed of my truck.
Oh, so you still have it.
Yeah, so I picked it all up. Like, Butters, 2 pokes, we gotta get out of here. So we drove, hit one lake, decided we didn't want to fish there.
We could have though.
We could have, but neither of us had fished that lake, and there was nobody out there.
We had no confidence.
No confidence. Which, in hindsight, we probably could have did
Why?
But there was nobody there, so
Like,
I mean, I think we would have done good.
Was that it? Like just because you didn't see anybody?
And neither of us fished it before, and I haven't heard anything about people catching stuff there. So it wasn't very, we weren't very confident in staying at that lake.
Was it a place you looked at the numbers before you went, or no?
Right when we pulled in.
Well, it was like, well, it's on the way. Let's go check it out.
Okay.
And then next lake, open water, north side of the lake, south side of the lake. The area we wanted to get on at closed off. They were doing some renovations. Even though I did see some tire tracks going down to where I wanted to launch at, but I didn't want to leave my car there overnight, especially in an area where it's closed off. Say, closed for renovations or whatever. Okay, let's go up to this next lake. Got there. We actually decided to unload some stuff, fish. All we caught was bluegills. Like, man,
I hauled all my gear out.
You brought everything.
I was like, we're gonna camp. We're here.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Yeah. So we basically from one launch went straight across the lake because on the map that's what looked good.
Pulled all my gear across the lake.
Yeah. There was nobody over there. But when we got over there, there was trees. The trees were basically ghost towns. Caught a few bluegills. Then I hopped over the channel into the basin, caught some bluegills. I'm like, man, do we want to camp here and struggle just to catch a few bluegills? And then our buddy showed up. He was like, hey, I was catching perch, and our other guy caught like 28-inch walleye. And I'm like, man, like, what are we doing over here?
Make your ears perk up.
Yeah.
28-inch walleye, okay.
Okay, we're going to make a move. Let's go up there. We get there, and there's like a big hill going down.
And the launch wasn't plowed.
So keep in mind that Butter's car already got stuck at the other lake.
I left it at the top of the hill.
Yeah, and when we went down there, okay, Butter's car can get down, but he won't be able to get back up. And then finally we decided, okay, let's go to this other lake. And we head that way. We get there, bunch of open water on the south side. I could see across the lake, bunch of water open on the other side, but there was a group of 3 people out there. I'm like, okay, we're gonna go here. We had success at this lake previously a couple weeks ago, and there's potential for good walleye, good catfish there. Roll up, and the guy waves at us. Then I was like, wait a minute.
Kind of looks familiar.
I know that guy. Ryan Tasler of Tasler Guide Service was out there, and he had a couple clients out. Talked to them.
They'd never been ice fishing before.
Yeah, they never ice fished before, and we told him that we were gonna camp. He's like, man,
Going hard at chasing cats right away. First trip, huh? That's
Yeah.
our first ice trip, chasing some cats.
yeah, and he was like, if he knew that we were gonna be out there, he would have brought his camping stuff, and he was willing to camp, which luckily for him, he did not camp.
I don't know. I think we would have drank enough beer to keep us warm if he would have stayed.
Oh, dude, that guy can drink.
Yeah, he had enough beer. He was sharing. Appreciated it because after the day that we were having, I was like, man, this is needed.
Yeah, actually, on the gas station before that last lake,
He stopped and grabbed beer.
I stopped and grabbed beer. I need a beer after a day like this.
You were thinking ahead.
Yeah. So I know that was kind of drawn out, but at the end of this trip, I've come to my senses and realized that it validated something I always knew. Night fishing around here sucks, and camping out there, you're not really putting yourself in an advantageous position by being out there before anybody else. Because, like I said, I could woke up at 4 a.m.
And been there before anybody else.
and
So-
then still be there.
Go through some pros and cons for somebody that's thinking about ice camping and hasn't done it. What would be some things that you would say are pros? What are some cons? And what are some things that are like, make sure you have this if you're going to go do it?
Okay, I guess the pros would be, if you're doing it with friends, it could be a blast. If let's say 3 of us went, and our main objective is not to catch fish all night, we just go out there, bring a few beers.
Have
I don't know,
fun.
maybe bring a iPad and watch football on Saturday night because the playoffs are going on right now.
Right.
Now, you go out there and have a good time. You can argue you could do that anywhere, but not people can say like, "Oh yeah, we camped out on that and watched football and drank all night." And as far as cons go, especially if you're going to be walking all your stuff out, I probably did 3 trips back and forth to the truck
I did too.
and before even going into this camping trip, I talked about on our last podcast, I just hope everything works and nothing breaks. Well, guess what? Not everything worked.
You spoke too soon.
Yeah, things can go wrong, and the fishing, if you're going for a strictly fishing experience, thinking that you're gonna pile them up because nobody's out there and night fishing is the best. At least in my experience around here, it ain't worth it.
Make sure you have a headlamp then, right? So when
Yep.
things do go wrong in the
Yeah.
middle of the night and it's dark, make sure you have a headlamp so you can see what the hell you're doing.
Or good lighting in your
Yeah, right.
tent.
Yeah, good
Like
lighting.
I took a $15 4-battery light that I bought from Walmart, zip tied it to the top of my hub. It ran all night.
Like an LED, basically.
Yeah, and it had 3 different 3 different settings on it, and it had a low light setting, like an orange glow. I left it on that all night, and I turned it. I turned it as soon as I woke up. I turned it back on to high, and it still worked after. It said it works for 15 hours, so $15. I mean, you can't beat it.
Man,
I used that with my headlamp, and I was golden all night.
I went all out with my lights. I bought some Hog Outdoor LED strip lights. It comes in like a two pack, or you get 2 strips, and I bought a third strip because not because it's necessary, but because I film and stuff, and good lighting is very important. And those worked out pretty good. They're way better than my last set of lights, and they were cheaper for more amount of lights. Because last year, guess something went wrong. It was the lights. Well, one of the strips broke, and those lights were expensive. I was not happy. Tried to reach out to that company. Never heard anything. I posted about it on Facebook, and other people had the same problems. But I don't know. I'm kind of bitter about ice camping now.
Yeah. I think the other big thing, too, is if you're going to do it and you're somebody that's kind of new to ice fishing and you're going to take that leap already to ice camping, make sure you take the right safety precautions in terms of like venting your shack and stuff like that, because that's something I don't think a lot of people talk about is, just that amount of propane that you're pumping into your tent or hub or whatever overnight, and then the venting, right? And we hear those horror stories of when people go to sleep and they just don't wake up. So make sure that you've got the right setup so that you're safe.
Right.
And you can get a carbon monoxide detector too.
Right.
That's one way to eliminate that.
Yeah, I had one. Well, it's not super important if your heater doesn't work at all.
Just turn your heater off.
Yeah, just turn your heater off.
Make sure you turn your propane tank off too.
Yeah, turn your propane
After
tank
your
off.
heater goes out. But
So I'm pretty sure I have not convinced you otherwise about
Nope.
ice camping.
no, I told you when.
Nope.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm probably with Kit on it. I'm probably hanging it up for the year unless I'm driving out to somewhere. I think it's too much work. I'd rather get up at 4 a.m., drive to the spot, set up for the day, fish all day.
See, like if somebody said, "Hey, let's go to Spirit and fish," it's a 3-hour drive or whatever, and they were really passionate about camping and taking care of all this stuff, like I could probably be convinced to do that, knowing that I'm going to go out there, drive out there, we're going to fish. I'll fish the next morning or whatever, and we'll hang out before we come back home, just because that's a long drive that I don't want to just make one day and then come home.
Yeah.
But anything outside of that, like if you said, "Hey, let's go down to 12 Mile," I'm like, nah, no, I'm good, man.
Yeah. And another thing that sucked was, so we got a bunch of snow here recently too.
Yeah.
So with the snow, the weight, it pushes down on the ice, so it's pushing the water up. The inside of my tent was all like water and slush everywhere. I brought flip flops, and I was like, oh god, I should have brought my shoes. Because last time I camped out on the ice, I brought my shoes, and it didn't get super wet. And then I just thought this time, okay, I'll just bring flip flops.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. Yeah, I don't know. I can't say I would never do it again, but it's got to be something like Butter says, somewhere maybe where there's a few inches of snow where it can kind of insulate between you and the ice, so there isn't a bunch of water. And if we could drive out, just throw all our stuff in the truck. I don't have to make 3 trips. Each time I'm going to set up, I got to go back to the truck 3 times. And then when I pack out, I got to go back and forth to the truck 3 times.
And with the truck on the ice, you can just hop back in the vehicle and drive to the gas station instead of hopping on a 5-gallon bucket. And or you can just, you can go up and you can camp in places in a cabin, or you can do what I call bougie camping, which I want to do sometime, but...
It's funny. I made fun of my buddy Matt. I was like, I don't think he'll ever ice camp again. He's more of a ice castle guy, and that don't sound too bad anymore.
Yeah. My experience with night bites around here is farm ponds, man. I've actually had really good success. I've caught multiple 15-inch crappie. I caught a spotted channel cat that was like 28 inches. Yeah, that was a cool story. My buddy was fishing this hole, and he's like, I got this mark. It won't bite. I'm like, well, let me drop my jig down in there with yours and see if he hits it. And sure enough, I dropped my spoon down. I lit it up. I glowed it up, and I dropped it, man, and it came rushing right up to it. Bam, hit it. He was like, "You gotta be kidding
Was
me!"
he reeling up?
Yeah,
real fast?
he reeled it up.
Yeah.
He got it up. It didn't get tangled. It
Yeah.
was a really cool moment. I got a picture of the fish, and my buddy's dad's shop was right up the way, like 20 yards. So I ran up real quick, and I was like, "Hey, look at this," and they took pictures, and then I ran back down, made sure it was good, and it bit me before I put it back in the hole.
Of course.
And that's the thing about catfish, like they can be out of water for a minute.
Yeah.
They're not like a wiper when it gets all tense and you're like, okay, I got to get this fish back in.
Yeah. They tend to build up that lactic acid, just the way they fight.
That's funny because I remember you posted pictures of that fish and people were calling
Yeah,
bullshit.
they were like,
can't you release?
how'd you release that if you're in a garage? And I'm like, because the pond's literally 20 yards from his garage. Like, it's literally 20 yards. I ran down there as fast as I could, I ran up the hill, ran back down, The fish wasn't out of the water more than 2 minutes. But, yeah, it's... Night fishing that's probably where I've had my best success, is on ponds.
On ponds.
Yeah.
See, I wonder if we fished like a super clear body of water. That probably makes a difference. Because the lake we camped out at, it was pretty murky. Maybe a foot at best visibility, and I'm being kind of optimistic there. I don't know. What do you think about that? As far as the night bite
Clarity?
goes? Yeah, clarity, water clarity.
Well, the farm pond makes sense to me just in terms of pressure and distance for fish to travel,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, they can only go so far, you know, and they're still probably feeding and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, in terms of clarity, obviously those fish could probably see further distances, but you're still talking about how much light, you know, do you have? I mean, I would guess that having a full moon might make a difference than having no moon in terms of light source. I can't say that I've done a ton of night fishing to really have like a scientific answer to that, but that would be my guess. All I can say is whether it's been, I'll take one, yeah. Whether it's been here in Iowa or up north, it hasn't made a difference for me. Like in Minnesota or the Dakotas, night bite has been pretty much non-existent too. Like we stayed in that sleeper shack, and you had that real hot sunset bite, and then as soon as that sun went down over the horizon,
They shut off.
gone.
Yeah.
Like you're not even marking them. You're throwing
They're just
ripping wraps
gone.
down there. You're doing
Nothing's
everything you
coming,
can.
man.
Buckshots off the bottom of the silt and just like hammering it. Don't even see anything.
So it's not like Clayton Chick
No.
up in Canada.
No. No.
Which I have used some of his techniques.
Yeah.
And I use them, the walleye that I caught on Sunday. That's what I was doing. I saw a mark down below what I thought was the bottom on my Vexlar.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started ripping this
them.
plastic with the little jig,
Mm-hmm.
and he came up, and I just saw him on my jig.
Mm-hmm.
I raised, and he was on.
Those are, in my mind, those are the best, the most exciting bites is when they T-bone them like
Yeah.
that. And that's why I like fishing jigging wraps and ripping wraps so much, because when I'm throwing a ripping wrap down, I'm not jigging it like I do a jig. Like I am giving it those real, like just like you're snap jigging open water.
Yeah,
You know,
you're ripping it.
you're just giving it, and when you're letting it fall, you're almost tight landing it in case you do get hit on the downfall.
Yep.
And so often you'll be sitting there just doing it, and you won't see a fish, and they'll come in from the side.
Yep.
And you'll never even see them on the flasher. They'll come in from the side, and you'll go to rip it, and you're wait.
It'll look like a vapor trail.
Yep, and they just boom, and there they are.
So my 28-inch walleye that I caught on the rip and wrap did that. He vapor trailed me.
Yep, and just came in and
Yeah,
they
he
didn't
came
even
out
think
of
about
nowhere.
it. Yeah,
Just came out of nowhere.
yep.
Yeah.
All right, what a mess. I had to go get a refill for everybody, but can you recap about what you talked about?
You got your lighter, your lighter tray.
Oh yeah, Butters. Do you know about the lighter?
I learned it in Mexico, and then I forgot it.
Yeah, I that's funny. Derek upstairs, he brought a couple beers with him, and he was like, "Got a can opener?" I looked for like half a second. I was like, "No, but I got some lighters."
And I'm like, okay, what is that gonna do?
Yeah, so it's a old Asian uncle thing. Okay, I didn't do it that good there, but there we go.
Thank you.
But you saw that in Mexico?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
maybe-
learned how to do it, and then I forgot because I learned it when I was drunk.
Yeah, I remember drinking Heineken when I had a Heineken phase. I think Heineken tastes terrible now, but we would mess around, try to pop it open with another cap. Some people do it with their teeth, and I cringe every time. Like, ooh, no.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But yeah, that's the old Asian uncle lighter trick. Anyway, which one do you want? Do you want the amber, or do you want the pseudo? Well, I guess you already drank a pseudo, so you have the amber.
I'll change it up.
Is that an IPA as well, or no?
No, it should be like
Amber
a red.
ale.
Yeah,
Okay.
a red.
Dead Horse Premium Amber Ale. Rejoice.
I think that's from Colorado.
Utah.
Oh, Utah.
Moab.
Moab.
Utah.
Ooh, good town.
Moab.
I love Moab.
Pretty
Right.
cool.
Well, I got the pseudo Sue.
Oh, so what'd you just ask, Kit?
What we were talking about.
We were talking about ripping baits or
yeah,
snap
that's
jigging or just aggressive techniques.
How you pound for certain species like walleye.
And I just mentioned that, like, when I'm fishing a jigging wrap or a ripping wrap, you know, I'm fishing it differently than I am a jig. You know, I'm not sitting down there just kind of giving it little subtle twitches like with a plastic. Like, I am rip it, let it pause, rip it. And then a lot of times when you do get that fish that hits, you don't even see them a lot of times. You either do see them and they come up and shoot up right away and hit it, or they come in from the side. And then as soon as that pause happens before you go to rip it again, once you go to rip it, that's where
they
they're
hit it.
on.
Yeah.
They're on.
Really?
Yeah. Which that is a lot of fun. Like if you've not caught one that way, it's basically just like open water jigging. You're popping off the bottom. All of a sudden, the fish is
Just wait.
Just wait there. A lot of fun.
Usually for me, when I like to rip the jig too, but when I see a fish come in, that's when I kind of just slow down. But you just keep going.
Because
if you stop, they'll go away.
Yep, they look at it and then they go.
If they get a really good look at it, the smart ones, they will just swim off.
Because it's a reaction.
Both walleyes I caught Sunday, I was ripping it, and then the last second I paused for a second and they hit it.
And I think that's why a lot of people shy away from fishing jigging wraps or ripping wraps, just because that confidence of how to fish it, and they feel like, when I'm doing this, they'll come up, but then I stop or I go real light, and then they don't do anything, so then they get frustrated and they go back to, jigs or buckshots or whatever, little spoons.
See, I should do that next time. Just rip it like I'm going to town.
I'm going hard in the paint Saturday. I'm going aggressive this weekend, man.
But it's just like a jigging wrap. When you're giving those thumps, they're just darting. So sometimes out of your flasher window where you don't even see them. And they're swinging around. And as soon as you might give that one pause, sometimes that's when you get just nailed.
See, I don't really fish with jigging wraps, open water or ice. So maybe that's why I don't really jig all crazy. I don't know.
I do that when I'm looking for those pigs or just to draw fish in. A lot of times if we're in an area where we've been catching fish and then it's quiet, putting something like that kind of
gets some noise.
Yeah, it gets some of that attention that's, 30, 40 feet away that they're not looking at. All of a sudden they're like, what is going on over there? They either hear the vibrations or they see the silt kind of bounce around. Because I'll go to the bottom and hit it and get those little puffs of silt coming up just to get stuff moving in.
Or you can have your buddy just pop a hole and push the fish your way and catch a 6-7 pound tank.
There you go.
Yeah. Pop a hole like 10 yards over there and push the fish.
We're sitting there in the tent and I'm like, hey man, do you think I should just go pop a hole in between me and Bacon? And he's like, yeah, maybe. And then I hear a tent open up and he gets out and pops 2 holes and the fish just start coming this way. He hooks up. And we're like, thanks, Bacon.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I always talk about keeping noise down and not moving as much as possible because the fish start scattering. There are times when there's a bunch of noise, all the fish start moving.
Yep.
Like he was saying, our buddy, he just got out, started punching holes, and that actually pushed the fish towards us. And then on the way, I hit like a 6-pound wiper that was moving away from where he was.
Yeah.
I guess if you're making noise, you're pushing the fish away from you towards other people.
Right.
I guess that you can still say that. Try to make as little noise as possible. But if other people are making noise, you're golden.
There you go.
And one of these areas that we fish, there's train tracks nearby. I don't know where. I've never seen train tracks over there, but we'd hear a train come, and then you just see waves and waves of fish moving, probably thousands of fish, and they'll hit the bait
and
too.
I would guess with the train track situation, that might not just be the noise. I would guess they might feel those vibrations from the tracks.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it in a couple of places that have trains where the fish just show up all of a sudden, and they're out.
Down in St. Louis when we fish for blue cats, they call it the barge bite.
Barge bite.
Yeah. So the barges come by, and all of a sudden blue cats start hitting.
Yeah, so when the train comes
they
by,
stir up the bottom and the bait fish.
Yep.
Yeah, when the trains come by, I'm like, barge bite. Come on, I'm trying so hard because I know they're for the most part, I think the fish are just trying to get out of there, but there is always a few that are ready to eat.
It's funny too because you'll see once the train gets done, the fish will slowly start to come back through the area, and it's. I don't know. I like when the trains roll through. When it's slow, it's something that speeds up the fishing process.
Yeah, when it's slow and nothing's really happening, and a train comes by, it just gets the fish moving, and then that's. Yeah, at first when we first experienced it, I was like, "Oh man, stupid train man scaring all the fish." No. But now I'm starting to realize, okay, train please,
get some good fish going through. It gets some good fish going through.
Honestly, that's what I try to replicate sometimes, just to a smaller scale with some of those rattle baits like that. Especially if you're in a shack and your buddy's using a jig or something way more subtle. I could be sitting there trying to get him going, and all of a sudden he's getting bit. You know, because they're coming in and they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to hit that because that's a little aggressive. But they say, oh, what's that?
A little more subtle presentation,
right.
like a tungsten in a plastic or something.
Yep.
Or a pinhead minnow.
There you go.
Yeah.
The pinhead minnow.
Yeah, this guy, Clam Pro staff, this guy over here.
Pinhead minnow is a solid bait.
I believe in it.
It's hard to go wrong with the pinhead.
I did a guided trip with Adam Griffith from Crappie Chronicles, and first time ever using a pinhead minnow, no bait up there, and I was catching fish 2-3 feet below the ice, and
the nice thing too is they have multiple colors that work.
Right, and you can bring it back here to Iowa and use it in our bodies of water. I mean, you'll catch bluegill, you'll catch bass, I've caught catfish on them.
Do you like the jointed, or do you don't care?
No, I like the straight body.
Do you?
Yeah, the jointed. I think you have when you're trying to really aggressively jig, you have a better chance of getting it messed up and wrapped around.
Yep.
I think if you go with the straight body, especially the new ones. I like the new ones, the newest ones that they have out. They're nice.
What's the difference between the old ones and the new ones? I mean, I have a pinhead, but I don't really fish with it much.
Details. They've added some details.
Some stripes,
like paint wise, or
I've got a pink and gold one that's pretty nice and it glows. So that's.
They added some scales to the design. They added a gill.
Couple stripes on
design.
one of them.
They both have flipper blades on each one. But yeah, just some. I mean, it's not like drastically different. Same material and everything, but just some little nuances. I do think the glow paint they used might have been a little bit more powerful.
Gotcha. So, are you a guy that switches lures often?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, I have a buddy of mine that will use the same. I won't even say it on here because you get mad if I said what it is. But he uses the same lure all ice season. Doesn't matter if it's for a 4-inch bluegill or a 28-inch.
That's this guy.
Walleye. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of envious because it takes all the thinking out of it. But I can't, and I don't know if it's because I'm trying to validate all the lures I have and make it feel like, I'm just going to try this and see what happens.
Yeah, you paid for all these lures.
You got to use it.
Right.
You got to use it at least once.
But I try to set up by having like 5 or 6 rods, which is a lot, but each one is set up differently. So rather than take the time to retire, put a clip on a new thing, I will just go grab a different rod. So there's not as much having transition time. But when I get home, the next time I change them all out.
Really?
Every trip?
Not every trip. If I use a gold pinhead
and it's fire,
killer,
you leave it. Okay.
I leave it. Yep.
Okay.
But if I put one on and I mark fish and that fish comes up and doesn't hit it, he done. That one's done for the next trip.
Yeah.
It gets retired until the next thing.
So I like to use at least 1 or 2 of my rods with a new lure every time I go.
Okay.
And if it's a fire lure from the trip, I'm gonna leave it.
Yep.
But I don't know.
If
Sometimes
it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Man, exactly. I was the one day we went. I was using the pinhead, no bait, and I'm like, should I change it up? Should I change it up? I'm like, no. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and I wanted to change because I was killing the crappie, man, and I wanted to catch bigger fish, and I ended up catching one. So it was like, to me, it was kind of mind blowing, and at the same time, the way it happened and. I don't know. It's a good lure, man. It's really a good lure.
It is. It's solid. Curious on your guys'
Clam
thoughts.
Pro staff.
There you go. Smurf, part of the Smurf crew. Curious on your guys' thoughts about downsizing and if you feel like that is blown out of proportion or not. I feel like sometimes it is blown out of proportion. I think sometimes when people talk about a tough bite, the common thing to do is to downsize or to slow down your presentation.
Sometimes you should upsize.
And I've had more experience where you more aggressive, bigger baits. Perfect examples. We were out fishing this last weekend for crappies, and I had the standard crappie stuff on, and I was actually using a pink pinhead pro, and they weren't hitting it as much as I'd like. I was like, man, this just doesn't make sense. And I'm like, all right, I'm putting the buckshot Wonder Bread with the big old treble that I was using up at Lake of the Woods for walleye, throwing it down, see what happens. And they were just totally smoking it. And the treble was way too big. I was thinking for a crappie, but it was working. And I feel like that has been a pattern for me. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
On downsizing?
Yeah, like do is that something you believe in? Like in your experience, if you downsize and that's what's been more productive, or not so much?
I'm gonna back up.
I mean, if you don't change lures, I don't know why I'm asking.
Right.
Why
Yeah.
I'm asking kid.
I'm gonna back up a little bit. So at the beginning of this season, I tied on a B Wood Hooks Wonder Bread
Yep.
on my purple Nurple rod. So it's my purple carbon rod.
Still there.
Still tied on there.
What color?
Wonder Bread.
Bread.
Yep.
And I've been tearing it up.
And
so
obviously,
obviously,
I've asked him at least 3 times after he's caught really nice fish, what lure are you using? And then after the 3rd time, I'm like, why did I even ask?
like same thing I had on last week. Come on, man.
I should know.
Yeah. And then on my other rod, I had a tungsten with a jig tied on from last year. And the only reason I swapped it out is because I broke off on a tree. So I just tied one on. It's been the same tungsten all winter. But
Gold.
I don't know, some bug color thing. But as far as me switching out baits and stuff, I don't do it very often. I figure if the fish don't want to bite what I got, they don't want to bite anything. And I mean, as far as downsizing, I'll switch setups. Okay, my B Wood Hooks isn't getting bit very often, so I'll switch to my rod with the tungsten that I had tied on since last year, and that'll get bit more. I'm not retying that same setup with a whole bunch of different things.
He doesn't reinvent the wheel.
And actually, one of my other setups, I don't even know how long that spoon's been on there.
Oh my gosh.
At least from last year, maybe the year before, because the paint peeled off on one side. It was painted like a shad or minnow, but it's bare down to the metal, and there's nothing there. And that's what I caught that catfish on, and then that's what I caught. Well, it popped off, but I hooked up with a really nice walleye. That lure's been on there for like 2 seasons, I feel like.
Yeah.
So
But as far as
kids' philosophy, don't change anything at all.
yeah, as far as
don't ever
downsizing,
change.
I just switched that from a spoon to a tungsten, but from there I'm not constantly switching spoons or constantly switching tungstens. So I guess no is
I
the
will
answer.
say, Wonder Bread B Wood with the little rattle in it, right?
Fire.
Yep, the
Yep.
rattle.
It has been dynamite for me too. That was my Lake of the Woods best jig, and that's what I caught my biggest crappie on last weekend. So, I mean, I'll give it props. It has been a good bait.
I think Wonder Bread is a great color in general. I mean, I've caught 2 of my biggest walleyes on Wonder Bread tungsten jigs. So you look at half of my tackle, and I'd say 25% of it's Wonder Bread.
See,
But
that's what I have tied on, and that's what I've been catching fish on. But for me, I don't swear by that color.
No,
it's just
no.
what I have tied on, and
if
I'm
it
catching
broke,
fish,
if
I
it
ain't
broke
gonna
off, that's the only way you'd change is if you break off.
if I break off.
My frustration with that, though, is it doesn't make any sense. The Wonder Bread
No,
color.
it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. Oh, another thing is
Oh, like, match the hatch. Yeah, Wonder Bread. Wonder Bread.
Bread.
What's
White
that look
with
like?
polka dots.
Yeah.
it makes no
And then
sense.
you make it glow.
Yeah.
But I guess, like you were saying earlier, if you're fishing it aggressive enough, they'll just bite it on reaction. They won't see all those little polka dots on there, and they won't care. And another point is, one other reason I would change lures is, okay, this season's over. Next year, I got to respool my line. You know what? I never fished this other color. I'm going to throw it on here. And then I'll probably stick with that color the whole season.
I can't do that.
Yeah, see, like, if I'm marking fish and they're coming up and they won't eat it,
Yeah, I'm
that
changing.
That bugs me.
I'm changing.
Like, I feel like I'm
Instantly.
doing something wrong. I'm
Instantly.
either jigging something wrong or they just don't want what I got.
Right.
Yeah, that's when I will switch to like a tungsten. And then,
Yeah,
okay,
your
I'll
other
catch,
rod.
I'll catch a bunch of crappies for a little while.
I'll downsize, and then if that doesn't work, then I go aggressive. Put a spoon on with some rattles, and that's usually what'll get it. Usually, otherwise the fish just don't want to bite.
See, exactly.
Sometimes
that's
it's
all I
that
do.
way.
They don't want to bite. If they
If
not
they don't
biting
want,
what
they
I
don't
got,
want what I want, what
Yeah.
I got.
then
I'm
they don't
out.
want anything.
Yeah, they don't want nothing.
I ain't gonna just switch to.
It's time,
Fish are stupid.
It's time to cook lunch
Yeah, it's time to kick. Fishing slows down. It's time to make some food.
or drink a beer.
So, but switching works. Not switching sometimes works. But for me, I don't know. It's just maybe I'm just stubborn. Is that being stubborn or just lazy? I think it's lazy is what it is.
I don't know. I mean, you're confident in what you have tied on and that it's going to produce if the fish are in the right mood.
You do it open water though too.
I do.
So it's not like it's not something that you don't do year round.
Like, what color are you using?
But most people, I don't think most people are that way, man. I think
I think it's a little stubborn. And a little bit.
I think you're set in your ways. Most people aren't like that.
I think it's just lazy. That's the word. I don't think stubborn is. I'm not a super stubborn person.
No, I think you're just like, man, this lure's the bee's knees.
I guess
I'm gonna use it. If they don't want it, well,
the stubbornness would come from if they don't want to bite this, then they're not gonna bite anything. That's where the stubbornness comes from. I think there's other factors that are more important, like my cadence or how my whatever Wonder Bread Beewood hook is presented, the size of the chunk of crappie that I got on there, or the shape of it. I feel those things are more important.
do they want it dead sticked?
Yeah, do they want it dead sticked versus the actual color of the spoon or whatever tungsten itself?
Do they want a live minnow? Like there's so many questions you try to figure out when you're out there.
Or they just don't want to bite anything, so I'm not going to bother.
The worst, though, is when they fly up to it super aggressive and then they just slam on the brakes right in front of it.
Or they shoot off and they disappear.
Yep.
You're like, what?
Yep. What happened? What'd I do?
You're
And
anticipating.
as soon as you move it, and they like, choo, they gone. You're like, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
It's usually a dinky fish.
Yeah.
99% of the time.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Okay. I kind of shared, I wouldn't say a disastrous story, but as far as the camping goes, do you have any like terrible experiences while you're ice fishing? We're like, man, this kind of sucks. I mean, not to the point where it would make you want to quit, but
No.
like maybe you fell through the ice or you cut your hand open or something like that.
No, I mean we left a lake in Minnesota one time, and we were coming off the boat ramp, and I went to go turn right, and we had a lot of snow, and I didn't really see the ditch. Just kind of blended in with the road, and the right front tire went into the ditch, and so we were kind of like, oh crap, because we didn't have anything to get out.
Yeah.
But we lucked out there. There was another guy coming off, and he had a tow rope with him, and he just pulled us out. So we got super lucky on that trip. That would have really sucked. I think the worst thing, honestly, has just been the hikes from the truck out somewhere. I think one time I went to Spirit, and I don't know if you guys ever fish Spirit, but it's just a real giant bowl, and it takes forever if you're walking to get to like 20 foot or whatever. And we're just walking, which is another thing that's annoying is when everybody's flying by you on quads and stuff. You're like, oh, sweet, man. You're pulling your two-man shack through the snow, and you're going forever just to get set up, and then you're like, oh, I left whatever it was in the
Back
truck.
of the truck. Oh.
And at that point, you're like trying to just talk yourself into like, do I really even need to go back?
Yeah.
But the whole time you have to.
Yeah,
You're just like trying to think of reasons why you shouldn't, and you're just like
a phone.
All right, here I go. Back to the truck. Yeah. No, I mean, I guess I've just been really lucky. One big thing is I won't drive my truck out on the ice unless I see somebody else drive out on the ice ahead of me, and like I see trucks out there and I know they've gone out of the same like access point. I won't do it.
Yeah.
Not because I'm afraid. I just not gonna take that chance.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times, and it's nerve-wracking every single time. I haven't done it in a few years.
Yeah. But even the guys on quads on Big Creek right now, like they make me nervous, and it's not even me on a quad. But like I was fishing on the north end, and the ice wasn't near as good as I thought it would be, and guys just ripping around everywhere. I'm just like, dang. Which I know it doesn't take a ton of ice, but it also doesn't take a ton to go through either.
Yeah.
It takes one bad spot, one bad time.
One time.
Adios ATV.
Right.
So like I don't know.
A lot of trucks I've seen been going through the ice up in Minnesota this year.
Yeah, ice isn't near as thick as you'd think. We're up at Lake of the Woods, which is, I mean, as far north as the border as you go, and we had 16 inches.
So what is it typically during this time?
28.
Close to 30.
Yeah.
I think people get a false sense of security because this season we actually started pretty early compared to other seasons.
About
But the weather since the beginning has been dumb.
about a week and a half than normal.
At least a couple weeks early.
Maybe a couple weeks earlier
Yeah.
than normal.
Yeah,
Normally-
I definitely
normally
would
it's usually-
qualify our ice right now as good ice. Like, it's fishable ice, you know, especially if you're somebody who knows what you're doing and take the right precautions. But for the time of year to see edges open on ponds and stuff is really kind of a bummer.
Yeah, but by next Wednesday, Thursday, I think ice everywhere is going to be good in
Yeah.
central Iowa.
Yeah.
We've got at least 3 days where it's 0 or negative
Right.
overnight for
Which
temperatures.
which
so
is nice. Firm it up.
I saw that, and my eyes and my heart started melting. I'm like, oh, we're going to build ice finally. Great.
My thing is, I just wish, why couldn't that be during the week and then on the weekend be in the 30s?
Yeah.
And then on Monday it could be -2 or whatever again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Butters? Any bad experiences while ice fishing other than
Our experience?
other than this recent one?
So I tried a new lake last year with a buddy, and we got stuck. The launch wasn't plowed. And my buddy's like, oh, you'll be fine. There's tracks. Somebody's driven down there. And
In
I
your
didn't-
car?
In my car. And I'm like,
Aw.
dude, I don't have 4x4. Like, I don't have all-wheel drive. And we got down there, and I got stuck in the circle. And then I was able to actually get my car to a point where I could launch it up the hill. Man, I got 3/4 of the way up, and boom, stopped. I'm like, well, we're not getting that. We might as well just launch from here.
Dude.
So we launched, and I caught like a 5-pound largemouth through the ice. Like the first hour we were there, and then we didn't catch anything after that. And we were there for probably 6-7 hours, and it was freezing cold. Didn't want to move. And
That's like the first cast curse. When you catch a fish on the first cast, and you're like, uh-oh.
hey, but it was me that caught it, so I was cool with
Yeah,
it.
you're
I was
all
like,
right
my
with
car's stuck. All right, I deserve that 5-pound largemouth.
Yeah,
That's
worth
cool.
it.
Worth it, you know. And then his buddy, he actually got a hold of somebody, and he came and we hooked up a tow strap, and he pulled my car up the hill. And we were like, well, let's go try and fish a different area of the lake. You know, we got 3-4 hours night bite, right? And we get over to the other end of the lake, launch, we're fishing. No wind all day. I'm like, I don't need to put any anchors up, right? No, I'll be good. And then out of nowhere, a gust of wind, like 30-mile-an-hour gust, sends my clam hub just end over end, like 50 yards away. And I'm just sitting there still jigging. My buddy's yelling at me. He's like, aren't you going to chase it down? I'm like, nope. After today, I'm out. I'm done. He drug it back over, and we ended up packing up and leaving. And then it was snowing on the drive home. And my boss is like, where are you at? We got to work in 3 hours. And I'm like, I'm on my way back. Don't worry. I'll be there, you know.
That's when you were doing snow removal.
Yeah,
right?
thank you. I'm not doing it anymore.
I do have one semi kind of crap story. So we drove 7 hours to go out to Wabe and Bitter area. So we left probably around, I don't know, midnight on the night we left. We left about midnight. Get up there about 7 a.m. or what have you. Fished right away. Fished through 5, 6 o'clock at night. And then drove home same night. So didn't stay. So drove home, and it was dark and whiteout conditions, so it was blizzard. So that was brutal. And the kind of like good and bad of the story is, so we get about 2 miles from my ex to get home, and it's about 2 a.m. Get a flat tire, hit something on the interstate, and it's like -10.
When it rains, it
I mean,
pours.
the positive is we were only 2 miles from home, right? And you know, at least we're relatively close and not like in the boonies in Nebraska or something. But it wasn't a lot of fun getting out in that weather and changing the tire either. That wasn't.
Oh, dude.
That kind of sucked.
That's gotta suck.
And after 24 hours of being awake or whatever, it was like, yeah, we're never doing that again. That's a little too much for a drive, turn around, and come back.
Oh. I guess for me, other than this past week it was up there for one of my worst experiences for ice fishing.
It's one of those when it rains it pours kind of weekends.
Yeah, it's just one thing after another.
What can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah. I guess it could have been worse too. It could have been worse.
I mean, we made the best of it for what it was, and I think that when times get tough out on the ice, it tests your will. You know, you're like, do I want to pack up and go home? You know, or do I want to go run to the gas station, get a coffee, refresh for a minute, or whatever?
Or go to the bathroom,
or just go to the bathroom, take a break. You know, but yeah, I think sometimes when those times and those trips you have all those bad things, but then you can take the pros from those trips, you know, the little things, and you can make the best out of things, even when they're bad.
When you got to keep your emotions in check, because if you get really upset, then you usually just snowball the issue, because you're acting out of emotion and something else bad happens, and then it just keeps going. You got to okay, chill. What's the problem? What's the solution? Move forward.
Right.
Yeah, but experiences like this past weekend, it elevates the highs even higher.
Yeah.
Granted, it could have been worse. I could have burnt my whole shack down or something. That's a fear in the back of my mind. Like, man, what if I, knock over my heater and it just catches on fire? Or sometimes those heaters just, blow up. Luckily, nothing has been catastrophic. Annoying and inconvenience.
Yeah.
Sure. I guess I'll talk about, other than this previous story, I guess it's more of a funny story than a bad experience. But okay, so me and my buddy Matt, we were out fishing up. I don't even know why I want to allude to a lake, because I won't say it anyways. But anyways, we were fishing all day at this one lake, super calm, sunny skies. Fishing kind of sucked, and we were packing up, getting ready to go. We both had to go pee really bad. So I think, if I remember correctly, Matt, he just went to go pee. And since there was no wind at all, we didn't anchor down my shack. It had like a little Eskimo 767 at the time. Okay, whatever, we just go pee in the shack. Matt gets done. He steps outside. Okay, my turn. And then as soon as I'm midstream, the video stopped, but I'll just keep going. Midstream, I just hear everything shaking, like, and then woof, the freaking tent flies over me. It wasn't like rolling across the lake or anything.
Did you get knocked down then?
No, it was like what's that, Charlie Chaplin, where the thing, falls down and he's just standing perfect straight. Well, the opposite happened. It just flipped over, and I'm standing there midstream. I look back at Matt, and I'm like, and there's like two guys straight in front of me. Like, oh my god, dude. And Matt brings this story up all the damn time. It's funny though. I guess, I don't blame him for bringing it up all the time. But man, that's probably the funniest experience.
He probably brings it up because you give him so much shit about catching drums.
Oh, speaking of another, actually, I'm gonna hit the record button over there real quick. All right. Speaking of funny stories, so we were at this bait shop. Me and Matt again. We used to fish together quite a bit, but we were up a few hours away, so it wasn't like a local area. And man, we got to the bait shop, and my stomach was just hurting, probably from all the spicy food that I eat. And I look at the sign on the door, like, lock is broken. Like, man, all right, whatever. I just, I was able to get the door closed enough. It wasn't like a doorknob; it's just a little latch. But I got it enough where nobody could peek in and see me. But then, I'm doing my stuff, and I just hear footsteps. Like, oh no. And the door comes over like, it'd be the guy looking at each other, close the door. And afterwards, when I go out there, I make eye contact with the guy, and he looks at me, and my man's laughing his ass off. I was like, dude, it's so awkward, man.
That's why when you hear those footsteps, you gotta throw in that the cough, so they can hear you. You know, they're like, oh, okay, there's something going on.
I should have. I have a.
Some people don't look though. Like I've been in a public restroom in a mall, and I'm in there doing doing my business. Yeah, you can see shoes if you look down. You know, and when you walk by stalls, you can see shoes, right? And this guy just straight barged.
He had to go, man.
The door was locked, and he pushed it open. And I was like, whoa, bro. Like, what's going on, man?
Oh, it's so embarrassing. What's worse?
That's
Walking
kinda funny,
in
though.
on somebody or being the guy being walked in on? What's more awkward?
I think I'd feel more awkward with somebody walking in on me.
I think being the guy walking in on the other person's...
Like, how could you not know? Like, that's one thing I look for when I go into a public restroom. I'm like, is there shoes? Is the door locked? Like, can I hear anything?
Yeah, but sometimes, you can't see shoes and it's not locked. You just open the door. Freaking guy.
Because, like, the thing is, like, if you're the person in the bathroom, you're so focused on, like, doing what you got to do, right? Like, so this interruption is just like, oh, whoa. I'm already focused doing my thing. Whereas if you're the person, you're like, hey, I'm going to go in here, go do my... And you're like, whoa! And then you're like, there's the awkward of, like, do I say, like, oh, sorry, or do I...
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right? Oh.
Well, then you're just taking in everything that you see. As soon as you open, you're like, whoa, what did I just see? Like, how are they going to look at me weird when they come out? And, like, where do I stand? What's up? I go back out, like, I need to get in there, so where do I go? Like, I need to stay close, but then they'll know it's me if I'm close by, or do I go walk around for a little bit? So
that's what it was like walking around that bait shop. Like, oh, my God, dude.
You ever been in a restroom and somebody tries to sneak their phone underneath the stall? I had that happen to me when I worked out at the mall. No, because we didn't have a public bathroom in our store, so when I'd go to the bathroom, I'd have to go to a public restroom. And one time, somebody tried to do that, and I literally stopped, didn't wipe, got up, kicked the door open, kicked their door open. I'm like, what are you doing? And I was like, ready to do business, you know what I'm saying? And they ended up, I was like, you need to get the hell out of the bathroom now. And then I went back and finished what I was doing. I was so weirded out and so uncomfortable by that.
Yeah.
That is super weird.
I was like, let me see your phone to make sure they didn't get anything, you know? I'm like, what are you doing? It's just some kid, like 19, 20 years old. I'm like, what are you doing in here?
Maybe he saw you go in there and he had the hots for you.
I did no idea, man. But public restrooms are scary. Sometimes I just wait till I get home.
Yeah. I think it's more awkward walking in on somebody.
Yeah.
Because at least when you're the guy taking a dump, somebody walks in on you. Okay, whoa, you got to cover up a little bit and whatever. Okay, it's just the guy that walked in on you. But if you walk in on somebody...
I think you get more embarrassed by walking in on
you get
somebody.
more embarrassed... Yeah. Well, when you walk in on somebody, now you got that image in your head of a guy taking
painted.
shit.
Yep.
Painted in your head. You're like, oh, man. You gotta go home. Gotta go home and watch something else to get it out of your mind. Get distracted.
I feel like that is worse. So having that, like, man, I just saw Butters taking a shit. I cannot get that image out of my head now.
I don't know. We went down a couple rabbit holes like usual. We always do.
Yeah, I guess it kind of ties into me taking a dump on the ice. I guess, what if I was just taking a dump and you just rush over, just unzip? What are you doing? I was taking a dump. I know you wouldn't, but...
No.
Well, what if I, wanted you to, oh, Butters, come over.
So this topic came up...
Okay, it's getting weird.
This topic came up, in our day shacks up north, when it's... Daytime highs, we're talking 0 or colder, right? And I was fishing with, some older guys that are retired and fishing, and you bring out the bucket. Well, the day shacks don't have a bathroom, so the awkward conversation comes up, and maybe it's just assumed, but it's going on in my head like, okay, so if you guys got to go to the bathroom, are you going to go out, pull your trousers down, sit on the bucket outside where it's freezing cold, and go to the bathroom? Or are you going to literally sit on that bucket in the shack? Because if that's what you're doing, I got to step out. I can't roll with that.
No.
But both are bad, right?
Yeah,
like if it's negative 10,
you're gonna freeze.
You're bare leg trying to squat on that bucket. At the same time, I can't be in that shack with you, listening to that, smelling that when you're sitting there on that bucket. I'm trying to jig a fish up here. No, man.
So right here, what you're talking about, I went to a lake, got there, set up, and I'm like, oh no,
worst feeling.
And there's no Casey's or because Casey's is a staple to poop in. Like, anyways,
basically every fishing trip that me and Butters goes on. Like,
we're stopping.
Casey's
there's a Casey's. I gotta poop.
I gotta go, man.
But I had to go, and I just got set up, and all I had was a plastic bag and a 5-gallon bucket with me, and I was like, I'm not going. And it was freezing outside, like -10. I had to go. I'm not going outside. I just set up. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I drank the night before. I'm like, I gotta go. It's bad. I went. Man, I had to open both flaps up in that tent.
You were at least by yourself, though, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. My buddy was by me.
Yeah.
Needless to say, we didn't fish there very long. He came over and he was like, "Whoa!" He didn't even step in. He was like, "Whoa! What'd you eat?"
Yeah. My problem is we're in a shack with like 4 dudes. Like,
yeah, you can't be doing that.
You're not sitting your fat ass on that bucket in this shack taking a dump. Not happening. That or I'm out. Like, I'm not fishing in there for that time while you're doing that.
No, not happening.
Can't do it.
No.
So this year, my buddy Matt, he had the black compostable bags. So if you're gonna do this, make sure you bring black bags. Because last year, I brought a white trash can, or not a white trash bag. And it's funny, my buddy Matt met us out there, and he saw a bag outside my tent.
Oh my god!
There's brown streaks all over it. He was like, "Man, that is disgusting." I was like, "What? How'd it go?" Then when I was packing up, like, "Dude, that is gross." Now I gotta deal with it.
I try to hold it, man.
So I guess if there's another downside
to
ice camping, taking out your poop.
Yeah, for sure.
I try to bring out my Marine Corps days when I had to hold it when you have to and you don't have a choice. I tried. I'm like, I can make it at least another 10 hours. I can make it.
Well, I don't. The food that I eat doesn't help the situation. I don't stop myself from eating the food that I eat. I'm willing to just, okay, I got a bucket with a bag, whatever.
See, like anytime I'm going on an ice trip, I got to make that decision. I'm either going at home or we're stopping at a gas station before we hit the ice. Because if you don't, as soon as you get settled in, you're like, uh-oh.
Which I've had to do.
Yeah. Every trip, like when I wake up, I try to go. When we go get gas, I'm like, okay, I better try to go.
When you got your bibs on and everything, man, it's not like it's easy just going either.
I don't wear my bibs when I'm driving.
No, I'm talking about like if you get on the ice.
Oh, if you're on the ice. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I know it does.
There's
especially if you got a 20-minute walk to go to a Kaibo.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Well, at that same lake, I really had to go. I was like, okay. I don't know if you were with me or not, but I got the
took
bibs.
your heater with you.
Yeah, I got bibs, my coat. Okay, I'm taking the heater with me.
Might as well be comfortable.
It was super drafty. Man, it was. I mean, unless you take your bibs off and your boots, your bibs are gonna be like. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of wiggle room there, mm-hmm. So if you get a little stray piece or something, you might be ruining your bibs, or you might have to wash your bibs. Okay.
The challenges of ice fishing. Whether to poop or not to poop.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. It's nature.
Yeah, it's a part of life. Yeah.
The best part is like when you're up north on those night shacks, day shacks, or sleepers, you put your stuff out there in the bag, outside the house. And then when the guys come in to check on you, and they pick up your bags, and it's just like rocks. They're just frozen rocks, and they're just throwing them. I feel so bad for those guys. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Like, man, that's why this costs so much.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, I'd be charging a grip too, man. I don't know. Okay, we've been talking about poop for way too long. I think we're probably almost at the 2-hour mark now. Other than eating this hot sauce and me having to poop tomorrow, do you guys have anything else? Actually, maybe tonight I have to poop.
I don't have anything.
You wanna recap your 515 stuff real quick?
Yeah, sure. So if people want to get a hold of me, 515fishinguides@gmail.com. They can check out the 515 Facebook page or www.515fishing.com. Got all sorts of different stuff up on the page. If you're interested in booking a guide trip, hit me up. We still got a couple dates here for February and ice season, and then spring walleye gets going, and that's probably my busiest time of the year. So, yep, hit me up if you're interested in booking a trip.
Yeah, hopefully there will still be ice by the time this episode comes out, because I think I settled on a every other week thing. I think it's a pretty good pace. If I record one video a week or one podcast a week, I can spread it out over every other week for quite a little stretch, because I don't know when Grandy's coming back. He doesn't know when he's coming back. Anyways, Butters, how about yourself? Want to plug your channel?
Central Iowa Angler on YouTube. That's about it.
Okay, cool.
Subscribe, like. I only got 3 videos. I don't have one coming out soon in the foreseeable future.
You throw on the little bell, the jingle bells in your videos, and hey, click up here in the corner, click over here in the corner.
I really
like, subscribe, hit the bell.
I really haven't gotten too fancy with the editing.
Get the notifications.
Yeah, I'm still learning all of it, but yeah.
Links in the description.
Right.
For all my products.
I did throw his channel in one of my videos.
Oh snap!
I did do that. So
I
figured out how to do that.
All the buzz catchphrases when you're a YouTuber.
Yeah, hashtags.
Yeah.
Hashtag Vexlar Clam.
Yep.
Hashtag this.
In your titles of your videos, catch and cook in parentheses.
Yeah, I don't
big fish.
No, I don't put big
personal PB.
Biggest fish with stripes ever. I don't do the blow ups.
Yeah.
I just kind of put it out there as what it is. You know, I'll probably change up maybe some views this next video.
Crappie smackdown or beat down instead, right?
Yeah. I don't know what'll happen, but yeah, I'm doing it. It took a long time and a lot of people pushing me, but I'm here and I'm trying to have fun with it. I know it's a lot of work, but I don't know. Like I've told Kit, I think the editing aspect is a lot.
I know,
but I think it's worth it. You know, if people don't like what I do or what I put out, that's okay. That's their personal opinion and their preference or whatever. But at least when I get older, I can look back on this and say I did it at least, or I attempted to do it. So.
Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I know I'm still getting used to the fact that is basically me.
Yeah.
And normally Granny would be like, oh, you know, on these segments he'd do the intro, he'd do the outro. But I'd appreciate if you guys shared, leave a review. Actually, I don't even know if you can leave a review anymore because. So for the podcast, this stuff ain't free. The hosting and the stuff we're like on Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever. That stuff isn't free. We gotta pay for that stuff, but we're gonna dial all that stuff back because I'm just doing this as a hobby. Really, it's on YouTube, and we've moved over to the free version of Buzzsprout. We get audio for like 2 hours a month, so maybe one episode of audio a month on there. But the main thing will be on the Bearfish Fanatics podcast YouTube channel. So if you guys could like, subscribe there, share those videos, that's where the main focus where this podcast is now. I'd really appreciate it. Check out my Fishing Kit YouTube channel. You guys could actually see what we've been talking about, and this disaster camping video, it's coming up and it's going to be on that channel. Other than that, guys, appreciate you guys listening or watching, and catch you guys later. Cheers.
I'm out.
Damn thirsty over here.
Yeah.